I guess we can move on to the next topic, or
Yeah, because it's interesting. Snives mentioned reading webtoons, and that put a what's it called? A light bulb went off in my brain, because I've heard a lot about webtoons, and the key difference that I've come to understand is that webtoons are created in Korea, and that webtoons have in stark contrast to manga's black and white panels, they have completely colored panels, which sounds interesting because you can imagine what the colors would be like, or you can behold what the colors are like, and the art's obviously going to be in a whole different universe considering that they're colored. I don't know how the stories are because I haven't read any webtoons myself as of yet, but it's definitely something that I would like to experience. But from what I understand, both of you guys have read webtoons, so what are you guys' thoughts on webtoons?
I mean, the pacing for me seems a little different, which to me seems a little more faster than what I've read in most mangas, which is perfectly welcome to me. As you said, another keynote that I really like is the color, so that it's more of a visual aid for me to distinguish and read it much faster as it goes. I see that they more cut to the chase. There's less panels. It's not very organized like a manga. I mean, from my experience of Girls of the Wild, it's the only webtoon I've read, so I'm more basing my opinion on that, not in general. But I've taken quite a liking to it. It's the first one I'm already liking to it. I know I have Noblesse bookmark to read, but I find the pacing different. The story does head different than what a usual Japanese manga heads into it. They adds a little more roots, but I guess that's my opinion. Unless Sebastian has his own.
Well, I'm just really passionate guy about webtoons, and I think that they are actually superior to manga. Yeah. Chill, guys,
Ooh,
chill.
shots fired. Shots
Anyway,
fired.
webtoons are basically like everything that manga aren't. What webtoons do is, of course, a huge factor in the popularity because they're actually getting very popular. Is that, as Arsa and Minishi have said, there's color. So it's basically like reading an anime, and that alone is a very good reason to catch up or try webtoons. Uh, and also, like Minishi said, the pacing is a bit different, and how many pages you have per chapter varies wildly between webtoons, which is not the case with manga. Like you have the weekly manga most often in some kind of a magazine in Japan, or you have the monthly ones, and those range from around like 20 if they're weekly, 20 something, and 50 something if they're monthly. But in webtoons, they could be 5 to 40 pages, and still be published weekly, because since you do webtoons, you do them digitally, meaning that you can draw and work much faster than a mangaka that has to write everything by hand.
So
So
what I'm getting here is because the production is fast, the pages are colored, and the story's just better, it's superior to manga.
yes, because it makes you for a like much fuller experience, and also a thing that some webtoons have is a soundtrack. So you read
Really?
full color pages while listening to a befitting soundtrack. So
Are you
it's
serious?
yeah, I'm serious. So it's basically like watching anime, just that the characters don't move. And yeah,
That's like a
to
drama
wrap it up,
city, only better. I mean, in my opinion, I think Webtoons kind of fixes some errors to certain readers, like the color, the pacing, and the story. It kind of fixes that. To me, it's just more appealing. I mean, that's what I wanted to bump in. So,
so basically
Yeah. All right.
to wrap,
Yeah.
guys, if you haven't read any webtoons, do it now.
Do it. Just do it.
I mean,
Just
Shellbuff
read. I haven't
agrees.
read any webtoons, so I will. I'll definitely. Wait, if you have, do you have any suggestions for me to what webtoon should I and our listeners? What do you suggest for us to read first?
I would suggest to read Tower of God. It is hailed by most webtoon readers as the best one around. It's kind of long. It's over 200 chapters right now, and the chapters are like 40 pages. But the story is great, although a bit slow to begin with. But there's the intensity is just on a completely different level from any manga that I've read. Noblesse is an even longer one, which is also really good. Then there are very very many sports ones. Like, for example, there's a webtoon called Windbreaker, which is about cycling, which is really good. And yeah, there is a surprising amount of good webtoons that fit very many genres. So there's something for everyone in webtoons.
That's a pretty good way to wrap it
All
up.
right, all right. Yeah.
All right, it's been a pleasure having you guys on board here. I mean, I'd recommend something, but I only have Girls of the Wild, so that's like fighting and all. I mean, really, I haven't read anything that's made me read it overnight, because when I first came across Girls of the Wild through, I think it was through a page, when I started to read it, I kept at it and I pretty much like marathoned it the whole entire night when it was like 150 chapters at the time. So
Ooh, wow.
if it piques your interest, I mean that's